Welcome to the CASA Course. We're going to discuss the ins and outs of buying real estate or selling real estate here in the Tacoma market. The goal here is for me to be able to provide you value and information and tools, just so that when the time comes, you feel a little bit more prepared going into the crazy world of real estate. So grab your pen, grab your paper, class is in session. Let's go. What's going on, guys? Okay, let's dive right in. So today, class, we are going to talk about what happens as a buyer once you get a house under contract. What are the next steps? What does the transaction look like? There's so many different pieces to the transaction. So I'd like to break it down for you so you have kind of a snapshot of what it takes to buy a house. All right, let's go. Okay. So let's set this up. We've been shopping for the last 6 months and we finally got a house under contract. What that means is we submitted an offer and the seller accepted it, okay? Let's kind of break down the terms of that offer so that, again, it'll give us some context. Let's say it's gonna be a 30-day close. So that means from the moment it is accepted, we're closing in 30 days. We're gonna have a 5-day inspection period. We're gonna have a 5-day title contingency. We're gonna have a 25-day financing contingency. So that's what we're working with, okay? So let's go. So we get the house under contract. The first step at this point, like the day we get it under contract, I'm gonna give you some homework. That homework's gonna be that in regards to the earnest money. So your earnest money is a deposit to escrow it's applicable to your down payment, but escrow will pull it out within about 2 to 3 days of mutual acceptance. So what that means is typically it's about 1% of the purchase price. When we get it under contract, I'm going to tell you, hey, if it's due on day 3, let's get it in by day 2. So this deposit is going to be withdrawn from your bank account and put into the escrow account. It's not just, they're not just holding the check, they actually withdraw the funds. So I tell my clients, make sure, those funds are there and ready to go. It's essentially kind of collateral. If earnest money. So basically, if you were to breach the contract or bail on the deal when you weren't able to, that earnest money is at risk and potentially can go to the seller. So that's what the earnest money is. It's important to get it in on time so that you don't risk losing it. So that's the first sort of homework assignment that I will give you. From there, we have a few contingencies. The first contingency that we will have, provided that the seller provides, say, the title report immediately. So say we get the title report on day 1. Basically what we're doing is pulling information from the title report, which is like the legal description of the property. Okay, this is on paper. It's going to tell you if there's any liens, if there's any easements on the property, if who is selling it actually owns it. You say, oh, I see that Chris is selling it, but on the title report, Rebecca Johnson owns it. So what's going on here? So this is the legal documentation of the property that you're able to review, and if there's any sort of red flags, we can call those out. I always recommend, instead of having me kind of transcribe the title report, go directly to the title company. They will literally sit down with you, walk you through it. They will catch the red flags, and then they can troubleshoot that with you. And so that's the first contingency that we go through. At the same time, because we're in the same 5-day window, we're also getting the inspection, the home inspection scheduled. And there's 2 types of inspections that we'll do. The home inspection, we check the roof, we go in the crawl space, we check electrical, we check the plumbing, all of that. And then we do a sewer scope. That's a separate inspection. That's a sewer company comes out, puts a camera down the sewer line to make sure it's in good shape, that there's no cracks, that it's operable and whatnot, and checking if it needs repairs, right? And so if we also need to bring in contractors, like, hey, we see that the sewer line does need a repair. Let's bring in a repair company, a sewer scope company, or a sewer line company to come bid the job out so that we understand the cost of this repair. And then we could turn around, say come day 5, we can submit our inspection response and say, hey, still love the house, but there are some repairs needed. Our request is for the repair or maybe a credit, okay? And so at day 5, we send that response. Now the seller has 3 days to respond to us on how they want to remedy this issue, whether they want to fix the repair and they just agree, whether they have their own set of remedies. They say, hey, I don't want to do the repair, but I'll do partial of your request, or I'll give you a credit to your closing costs instead of doing the repair, or just flat out no. In that case, you, the buyer, actually still have the last say. So you can, even if they just say no all around, you can say, okay, I'm gonna still move forward and buy this house. And the inspection not only, obviously gives you the ability to understand the integrity of the home. One of the biggest pieces to it, it gives you the ability to unilaterally walk away from this deal. If you're unhappy for any reason, you actually have the ability to walk away. And that's kind of the biggest kind of piece to that contingency, because once you waive the inspection contingency is satisfied, now you're in it, because the last contingency that's really gonna make it or break it for you is going to be the financing contingency, and a lot of that is kind of out of your hands because the lender's going to work and it's up to what they are able to, approve or disapprove. So let's segue into that. Let's segue into the financing contingency. So on the financing contingency, it's a 25-day contingency. By day 25, you want to make sure that you're fully approved, that your lender, your bank says, hey, we've run all the numbers, we've gathered all the information that we needed from you, and you are approved to buy this house. Because what happens is, come day 25 and you still don't have that approval, and say the appraiser has taken longer than expected, and you don't know if the bank's gonna approve you, well, day 25, you have to waive your financing contingency. You have to tell seller, this purchase is no longer contingent on my financing. So that's why it's extremely important to stay ahead of the game, to get your lender all of your information to them as soon as possible so that they can start the appraisal process and get that ordered. And when the appraisal happens, and whatever the results may be, the appraisal can come in under, the appraisal can come in over. Whatever the results may be, we have time to take care of, whatever happens. A majority of the time, we're going to come in, the appraisal comes in as is, and everyone's happy. But every now and then, it comes in under, and we have to scramble, and we have to get to work. So that's day 25. So let's fast forward, and now we're at day 25. We've approved approved the title contingency. We understand that there's no easements, there's no, the right people own it, and we're good there. We approved the inspection, and we got the sewer scope repaired, and the sellers agreed to it, so we're happy there. And we finally got word from our lender that we're fully approved to get a loan. So now these 3 main contingencies are satisfied, and we're at day 25. The next step as a buyer is you're going to do what's called a final walkthrough, and it is exactly what it sounds like. You're going to go to the house, because at this point you have been to the house most likely since the inspection that took place in the first 5 days. We're going to go back to the house, and we are going to just walk the home, check it out, make sure that it's in the same state it was when we submitted our initial offer. 9 times out of 10, that's the case. You walk in, you're like, beautiful, great. Let's take some measurements because I'm going to put my furniture here, my couch is going to go here. Every now and then, you'll walk in and be like, oh, there's a major leak in the roof, and that was not there during the inspection and or when we submitted our offer. And at that point, we go to the seller and say, hey, this is we have to remedy this prior to closing. And that's why it's so important to do that final walkthrough. Because if you do not do your final walkthrough and you close and you get the keys and you walk into the home, you're like, oh, there's a hole in the ceiling. Well, you should have done the final walkthrough because you own this house now. So that's why it's very important. So day 30, we did the final walkthrough. We're satisfied. Day 30 is here. Closing day is here. Your lender has everything that they need. They already pushed your loan docs to the escrow company. The escrow company took a look at it, and between the two of them, everything's balanced. Everyone's happy. At that point, the escrow company will shoot me an email, say, hey, we are clear to close. And at that point, they send everything over to the county, and they're recording this purchase and sale. So once the county, the city, records the purchase and sale agreement, at that point, we will receive another email that says, congratulations, here's the recording numbers, the house is yours. And typically that day you also get the keys. So it's not like, hey, we close on a Tuesday, you get the keys on a Friday. No, as soon as we record with the county, the home is yours and you get the keys. It's as simple as that. Obviously, there's things that can pop up, in a transaction, and there will be bumps, but it's my job to absorb those and help us get through the transaction and try to ease the stress a little bit. That's a snapshot, guys, of what takes place after you get your house under contract and after you get your offer accepted. So I hope that was helpful. I hope this gives you just a little bit more kind of a peek into the realities of buying a home. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. If you think this would help your friend or a family member who's in the process of buying a home, please send this to them. This is the CASA Course, and I'm your teacher, Nick Casanova. Class is dismissed. All right, cheers.